In the beginning, there was silence. Silence is a force that's deeper than words. It's sharper than a blade, and it's stronger than a shout. Silence is full of power. Just think about it. When words fall away, influence rises. It's the quiet ones that command the loudest respect. And why? Uncertainty is power, and silence breeds uncertainty. So tonight, we're gonna step into the shadows of the spoken word. Tonight, I'm teaching y'all how to tap into a frequency of quiet dominance and how to enhance your mystique and increase your raw authority. Welcome to the Art of War, Part 3. This is the silent chapter. Okay, so let's start with dominance in conversations and in leadership. Silence wields influence in conversations by shifting the balance of power towards the person who withholds the speech. Now, in negotiations or meetings, the strategic use of silence can unsettle others and tilt the interaction. So they did some research in social psychology, and communication shows that someone in a conflicting situation can confuse the opponent by falling silent. What you're doing is you're leaving them guessing at the silent party's intentions. This deliberate quietness is a form of manipulation by obscurity. The silent individual, by revealing nothing, forces the other side into a position of uncertainty that often leads to anxiety and vulnerability. The result is that the silent person appears more dominant. The others will lean forward, literally and figuratively, because they're trying to discern their thoughts or the next move. In leadership context, this dynamic is why the ultimate hero is always the one with the fewest words, while the weaker one talks excessively, diarrhea at the mouth. So the ability to hold silence becomes a subtle exercise of positional authority. Not only does silence project confidence, it also compels others to action. In everyday interactions, many people have a natural discomfort with silence. They feel an impulse to fill the void in conversation. You can use social discomfort as a power tactic. Silence sparks anxiety in almost everybody. We feel a psychological and a physiological urge to break that silence. Now, a skilled negotiator or a leader uses this effect deliberately. By employing silence, you can take control of the interaction. As the other person grows uncomfortable, they start to talking, filling the gap, giving up all their information. Often, they'll start revealing more information or conceding points simply to escape this tension of this pause. So what you have is the silent party has seized the dominant role. The silent party sets the pace, and the others are scrambling to respond. So let's address the discomfort of the void in a compelled response. It's like they just can't help themselves. Why is silence so uncomfortable for most people? Part of the answer is in our neurological wiring. Humans are social creatures. We're attuned to constant communication cues. When those cues disappear, the brain registers uncertainty as a threat, and that triggers the amygdala. Y'all know what the amygdala does. It triggers a stress response. A sudden or prolonged silence in conversation can provoke a mild fight or flight reaction. Heart rate starts to increase, mind is racing, trying to interpret and trying to figure out, what does this silence mean? An unanswered question or an unexpected pause causes an open loop in our cognitive process, and we become desperate to close it. Anxiety mounts as the silence stretches, because the lack of feedback is weird to most people. It's very ambiguous and it's very uncomfortable. Human beings are very predictable creatures. They have a natural tendency to imagine worst case scenarios. That's when the information is being withheld. It just heightens their stress or their fear. This discomfort with silence often compels one to speak just to relieve tension. Now, in leadership training, executives are taught that holding a pause after asking a question can be a powerful technique. Others feel responsible or obligated to fill the gap with their ideas or thoughts. So when you're silent, you're handing them the mic. Neurologically, this compelled response is fueled by the uneasy emotional arousal that silence creates. It's a spark of anxiety that words can quench. The silent leader or negotiator who who masters the skill can guide discomfort without force. Their silence pulls information from other people. Even a few seconds of controlled quiet can instill emotional resonance that words alone rarely can achieve. Now, a good therapist will use extended silence as a tool to allow clients to dive deeper into their own thoughts. You have to be able to read the room to see that silence is sometimes the catalyst that unlocks what would otherwise remain hidden. I told y'all about the mystique, right? So let's get into it. Let's talk about mystique, authority, and the aura that silence gives you. Beyond immediate conversations, the strategic use of silence contributes to a person's mystique and their perceived authority. History and literature are replete with figures of few words. Nobody gravitates to the loud, fragile type. It's the strong, silent type that has that magnetic attraction. It's he who evokes a sense of gravitas. And gravitas is when one has dignity, seriousness. They solid, very stoic. Silence creates mystery. What is not said often intrigues more than what is openly declared. In psychological terms, an ambiguous silence becomes a projective surface for others' imaginations. So when someone in the right situation remains silent or answers ambiguously, whoever's observing either project their own hopes, fears, and theories onto that void. When there's no sound except a character's breathing, the audience is forced to fill the vacuum with their desires and their imagination. So, in other words, silence creates a void that others will eagerly fill with their own inner narrative. This is a double-edged sword. The silent person can benefit from being overestimated or idealized, as people often attribute greater wisdom or strength to someone who doesn't spell everything out. Now, let's get into the aura of silence. The aura of silence thus lends an almost mystic quality to that person. This mystic building aura through silence works hand in hand with human psychology. You see, we have the tendency to be uncomfortable with uncertainty. Yet, paradoxically, we're drawn to it. It's crazy, right? Curiosity compels us to seek answers. A silent leader becomes a riddle that everybody's trying to solve. You see, their silence generates a curiosity, a fascination amongst followers. What are they thinking? What do they know that we don't know? That in turn increases that person's influence. Now listen, that same ambiguity can also instill fear. Now, in hierarchical situations, people may naturally submit to that silent authority figure because they imagine that person is more knowledgeable or powerful than themselves. Silence can be authoritative or distressing when its underlying reason seems to be too complicated for others to understand or to interpret. Now I want to explain the power of information asymmetry, and this is something that you learn in gauge theory. Now, I have to warn you, this can be used as manipulation. This is under the realm of what they call dark psychology. You are to never, ever use this on people that you care about or that care about you. I'm teaching you this so that you can identify it if it's happening to you or if you're in a negotiation and you need some leverage. There's a lot more to this, but I don't know everybody in here that well. So I have to save that for the VIP one-on-one people. Knowledge is power, or I like to say knowledge is power potential. In any relationship or negotiation, the side with more knowledge or information naturally holds the advantage. All throughout history, those who hoard knowledge, whether it be political secrets, military intelligence, or even personal information, have been able to tilt the scales of power in their favor. In economics and game theory, this phenomenon is called information asymmetry. So by definition, information asymmetry is when one group knows more than the other during a deal or interaction that can tilt the balance of power. The very presence of an information gap creates a power differential. The informed side can exploit their superior knowledge while the less informed is kept off balance. They're uncertain and they're just at a disadvantage. Y'all know the saying, knowledge is power, right? It's kind of true. Like I said before, knowledge is power potential. And intentionally withholding information has a negative impact on others while simultaneously giving the person who's holding that information a whole lot of power. The gatekeeper of knowledge decides who gets to know what and when, thereby holding the keys to the other person's understanding. So for example, in an organizational setting, a manager operating on a strict need-to-know basis controls their team by only sharing fragments of a bigger picture. The manager who determines who needs to know, therefore, is holding the power. Information withholding is frequently a deliberate tactic. In the realm of manipulation and Machiavellian strategy, withholding information is literally a form of exerting power. It's a manipulation to suit yourself and maintain a situation that you want at the expense of another person. Now we have to get into the emotional impact of uncertainty. When people are denied information, they're faced with ambiguity and gaps. It affects them deeply in an emotional way. They experience fear, they experience anxiety. You know, it's the fear of the unknown. It's a primal driver in the human psychology. If you've ever waited for medical test results or been in the dark about a pending decision that deeply affects you, you know that not knowing can be more agonizing than the bad news. You see, when leaders withhold information, it makes people worry. Now, look at the paradox in this situation. The same leader who created the uncertainty can benefit from it because the team looks to them even more desperately for guidance. It's called psychological submission. That is an anxious dependence where people stop questioning and just blindly obey. When people are kept in an information-poor position, they may internalize a sense of inferiority. They come to believe that the other person deserves to be in charge because they know more. This is a self-perpetuating cycle in many hierarchical relationships. Silence and information asymmetry are two sides to the same coin. This coin, or this currency, is a coin of unspoken power. Silence is the absence of speech, and information asymmetry is the absence of shared knowledge. Both creates a vacuum, and human nature hates being in a vacuum. When you create that kind of void, the other party has a rush of emotions. It could be respect, fear, curiosity, awe, insecurities. And for all y'all out there that are coaches, leaders, parents, entrepreneurs, managers, whatever, understanding these dynamics is very crucial for you. Y'all need to promise me. I want you to use this ethically. With great power comes great responsibility. And with power, you need refinement. Because without refinement, your power is destructive. And you want your power to be productive, okay? So a pause or a withheld answer can encourage growth. It can encourage self-reflection and strengthen others. But if used unethically, silence can intimidate and secrets can dominate, stopping the other person's confidence. The true master of leadership knows when to hold silence as a form of wisdom and when to speak to uplift and to inform. They know when to keep a secret to protect or teach, and when greater transparency will empower everyone around them. Mastery is not always holding these tools, but it's choosing the right moments to use them or to set them aside. All right, y'all. So that is the Art of War 3. And you do have field work for this. I have an assignment for you. We don't do homework. We ain't home ends. We field ones, right? So you have field work. I want you to fill it out. I want you to be mindful about your answers. Watch this video over to make sure you absorb the wisdom that I put in this. And I'll see y'all next week. Peace.